Hello and welcome to the next plenary session of the Canadian Union. Together with us we have plenty of foreign people at the same time. We will be discussing, it's a pretty interesting night indeed. We have a new member of the Parliament, honourable members. I would like to hear a here for Mr. Orange, who is about to actually swear in office.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Orange, how do you feel today?
Well, I feel pretty great. I'm glad to be part of the Canadian Parliament. This glorious institution, feel like is something that could use. It's a great organization. It can also use someone else talking that's not just Cato. So
Absolutely.
Here.
I'm going to hear that.
Absolutely. Now, Orange, we will actually begin with the first phase of the Parliament session. Today, you'll be swearing yourself in. I will be posting the message which you will have to actually, voice in Parliament Day. And this is the oath that you have to actually take in this case here, where it says that I, Orange, swear that I will bear true allegiance to the Canadian Union, that I will respect and follow the Constitution and laws that the people of Enadia have established. I will fulfill my duties as an elected member of the Parliament, and I will demonstrate the utmost respect and professionalism to all Canadian citizens. Whenever you're ready, it's in the Parliament.
To post it as well.
Yes, it is posted in the Parliament.
all right.
No, I mean he has to post it as well.
Yes, you have to post.
And
I
do
hope.
Post this do I post it in Parliament?
And you have to raise your voice as well, so we can all hear you. Thank you.
All right. So I boost it and I say it out loud.
Yes, indeed. This is gonna be a great session. I can feel it.
All right. I, Orange Main, swear that I will bear true allegiance to the Canadian Union, that I will respect and follow the Constitution and laws that the people of Enadia have established. I will fulfill my duties as elected member of Parliament. I will demonstrate the utmost respect and professionalism for all Canadian citizens.
Thank you, Orange. With that being said, you are the newest member of the Parliament, and a round of applause for the Right Honourable Gentleman, Orange Main.
And he's now the Honourable.
Yeah, now he's the Honourable, and that was the weakest ever clapping that I ever heard in this Parliament.
Let's just stick to here.
I'm not sure, maybe it's because we have too many foreigners in this case here that you guys are a bit stressed today. With that being said, welcome to the next session of the Parliament. Now, my name is Harry, and you call me Rorschach in this case here. I'm the Speaker of the Parliament. Today we will be having several sessions, and we'll be discussing one bill introduced by the Minister of Interior in this case here, called the election scheduling bill. I will be submitting for your review the link down below in the Parliament chat, and I will be giving the floor to the Right Honourable Lincoln, the Secretary of State Lincoln, to describe the bill. Here indeed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So, I'll take the floor. So, yes, this is the election scheduling bill. So, with the existing positions in Enadia and after the establishment of the digital system, we recognise a need for a duration of office at the end of which said office expires and will be up for re-election, and this bill will address that. So, starting with Article 1, parliamentary elections will take place every 4 months based on the date of the swearing in of the House. Article 2 covers the magistrate, which magistrates of Enadia will be elected every 3 months from the date they were first elected. The monarch, in turn, will be elected every 6 months from their assumption of office, and the Assembly of Regents Councillor will be elected every 3 months from their assumption of office. Now, that is a brief overview, and I give the floor back to you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you so much. The floor will be open for debate in this case, your Right Honourable members of the Parliament, and order. Now, whoever wishes to actually raise questions or to create a point of debate may go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Honourable Member Cheshire. I think that you're always first in everything. Yes, the floor is yours. You may go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to currently thank my right honourable friend for introducing such a necessary bill to ensure that members of Parliament are accountable at regular intervals. And I would just like to ask if under Article 1, our newest member, Orange Main's term will expire with all other members, as I do believe should be the case.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. You may go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
If I may, I will refer the question to the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Mr. Prime Minister, do you have an answer to that?
I do have a response to that. I
Mhm.
thank the member for his question. As always, his keen enthusiasm is most admirable, and I'm sure most citizens of Enadia deeply appreciate it.
Here, here.
The answer to the question is very simple. The House of Commons as a whole is elected at the same time. Members of the House who were elected in by-elections will face the same parliamentary election timetable as the rest of this honourable House.
Here, here.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Any other questions from the right honourable members? Hearing once, twice. Kato, are you sure you don't want to pick up your hand again? Just saying.
I'm fine for now, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Absolutely, thank you. I mean, every time when on the third round of timing session there, you always raise your hand. So, all right. Well, with that being said, since we do not have any other points of discussion in this case here, we will be moving to an immediate vote, and for that reason, I need a second.
I beg to move.
Seconded.
Thank you. Honourable members of the Parliament, you are free to vote. Counting 1, 2, 3, 4 ayes.
Waiting for
5.
Mr. Beeland now.
I think we need 2 more members in order for a quorum to be reached.
Yes. Without
The vote
quorum.
will remain open for the time anyway. Yeah, Keith, you got to vote with I.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's all members present.
I will be
Quorum.
given 24 hours for this vote. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so basically 6 members. No, we don't reach quorum yet. Alright, well, with that being said, I will be leaving 24 hours for the bill to be discussed and voted. Members can actually raise their voting in this session here. Mr. Orange, or actually Old Ravenwood, they informed me that they won't be present today, so it will be best to hear from them as well. With that being said, today we have statements from the government as well. So with that being said, Mr. Prime Minister, the floor will be yours whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today's government statement is on the regional RP consultation, as mentioned to the House last week. For new members joining us, the region of Enadia will be undertaking a regional RP consultation, general public survey to shape RP policy and formulate moving forward. The government has taken the steps to prepare what will be a Google Docs survey, which will go out tonight to citizens via Telegram and in the updates channel once I have cleared that with the technical department. The government is pleased to announce that this roleplay consultation will last approximately 1 week and will be used as the basis to shape government policy moving forward on this matter. The policy does question selects eras, timeframes, mapping types, basic survey, and will be followed up by a more detailed survey once the formal proposals have been created based on the initial response. Essentially quite basic. It doesn't cover the governance of the roleplay. That is a government matter and will be continuing to be a government matter moving forward before the honourable member asks me the question, which I can tell he's itching to ask about that. So moving on from that. Essentially, the RP policy review will be a central part of government policy moving forward and should be a new form of entertainment and collective community engagement for Canadians. We are also considering a policy to which we can cooperate with other regions on RP, but that is a matter for another time after formal implementation and a trial period of our own RP. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Questions on the matter before we proceed further ahead? I would like also the honourable guest in this case here to keep their microphone shut while the session is undergoing. Questions from the right honourable members of the Parliament? And here it comes. We have 1, 2. Alright, I will be giving the floor to our newest member of Parliament, Mr. Orange Main, since he's actually the first time that he's actually will be addressing the House of Commons. Orange, you may go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm just asking a question to the Honourable Prime Minister. Right, Honourable Prime Minister?
Absolutely, yeah.
So my question is, do you think the hard work and diligence that the government is putting into the RP will help unite the Canadian citizens into a more closely knit community? Thank you.
Here, here.
Yeah. If I may, Thank you. I thank the honourable gentleman for his question. It's a good one and a powerful statement indeed. Yes, I absolutely think that cohesive RP policy will benefit Canadians directly. It will give them something to engage with directly in the community, and it will give us a project that is malleable and can be shaped by interactions between each other moving forward. So yes, I think that government's RP policy, shaped by Canadians and for Canadians, will be in the Canadian interest and in the community spirit that we all aspire to. Thank you.
Here, here.
Here, here.
Yeah.
Alrighty. With that being said, we will be moving to the second honourable member, Cheshire. The floor will be yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure that already the Parliament is becoming exhausted by my questions, although I'm sure that the Parliament will also acknowledge the fact that government must always be held to account. I would like to ask the Prime Minister, with regards to the role play, if the consultation will include a question pertaining to something which I think is an important factor in RP, and that is the hosting method of the RP, whether it will be done via RMB or Discord. And I would like to ask the Prime Minister to confirm to the House if the Canadian people will be able to make their voices heard on that matter.
I thank the honourable member for his question. Again, a very strong one. The government's formal proposal at the minute takes the view that a Discord RP would be the easiest to maintain and moderate. We take the view that the Canadian RMB is already an active place, and we wouldn't want to see it overcluttered. We also believe that Discord provides our citizens with a unique ability to use images in their RP and to use video linking content to further and support their posts. This is a tried and tested method, and the government is confident that a Discord RP would be the most effective manner to utilize and have an easy access RP for the community. So at the moment, the government is not considering an RMB RP, but we are definitely trending towards either the use of the Canadian forums, which we think would again limit access, or we are most definitely currently trending towards a Discord RP because we believe it's the most open, transparent, and engaging way to push a regional RP at this time. But I'm happy to engage with the honourable member another time more directly on this issue should he wish to write to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. I will be raising an interesting question coming from a concerned citizen, Mr. Helvetorius. I apologize in advance if I've actually misspelled your name. Their question to the Prime Minister, I suppose, is how much will the government interfere with the role play?
Here.
The answer to that question is this role play will be governed through government policy in this case. The government will establish role play guidelines and rules and regulations pertaining to the RP. They will mainly fall within the purview of the government's appointed Minister of Role Play. The government aims to have an RP that is shaped and moderated in the most professional way possible, and we are not. If I know the honourable citizen, I will call him in this case, is involved in many RPs and knows that tyrannical admin teams are a problem. But the government will be maintaining clear and concise oversight over this at all times, and we will trust our moderating team to enforce the rules in the most impartial and professional way possible. This is an ongoing discussion, and if the citizen would wish to write to me, I am happy to respond in a more lengthy way at another time in writing. But if he has specific questions, I will answer them directly in writing. I do apologize that I can't give a more concise answer this time, but policy is still in the developmental phase.
Here.
Thank you. I'm going to be giving Mr. Helvetorius one more round of questions because they seem to be quite interesting about the matter. While they're actually typing in their question in this case here, what will be the next point of discussion, honourable members?
There is one thing.
Mr. Speaker, if I may quickly ask a question of the Prime Minister.
All right. Yes, go ahead.
I'm wondering, I would just like to quickly ask the Prime Minister if he will take questions upon a more broad and general base, or if he's only taking questions pertaining to roleplay.
I'm happy to take any questions members might have.
Yes, Mr. Cheshire, I already see that you've raised your hand. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to ask the Prime Minister, as I am aware he is also member of the AOR House of Delegates. I was wishing to ask him about the One Passport Act, which passed the AOR's House of Delegates, and I have reviewed it. And in my capacity as Solicitor General, I would just like to highlight my concerns about the legality of its potential implementation into Enadia, and I would like to ask him if, based upon my eventual findings, if the bill is indeed not compatible with Enadian law, what processes can be taken to deal with such possible situation. I yield the floor.
Thank you. I could actually be answering that question, but Prime Minister, please.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. From the government's point of view, the implementation of a AOR legislation is a process for this House. And under AOR constitutional laws, this House possesses the right to amend legislation that conflicts with its own laws. And therefore, in the implementation of such legislation, this House of Commons, as the sovereign body responsible for making Canadian law, can amend legislation as it sees fit, as long as it is not a direct violation of the intended overall goals and the AOR constitution. So in response to the member's comment, this House has the ability to amend such legislation and can do so if necessary. At the moment, I'm waiting on that bill progressing through its second stage, which is the House of the Council of Regions. And as I understand it now, the Canadian representative of the United Australian States is looking into the bill in detail. He has voiced some concerns with me directly, and I will continue working with him on those moving forward. And the government will be as constructive as possible when the legislation comes before this House for due ratification and process to ensure that this House is satisfied with the provisions and Canadian interests are protected.
Thank you. We have another question in regards to the RP, which is going to be the final one at the same time in regards to that subject. The Honourable and Concerned Citizens Habitorius, they have raised a question in regards to the role-playing ministry, where in this question here they want to know exactly whether the RP minister post will actually be an elected one or an appointed one. And at the same time, they've raised a concern in regards, will it work like the Thessian system, like an RP secretary?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the citizen again for his question. The simple answer to the question is it will not function like the Thessian system, and nor will the post be elected, as it is part of the government ministry. If you want to dole out control of the RP to other sources other than the government, it tends to become dysfunctional. You end up with an admin team that is disjointed, and in my view, I think would be incredibly problematic. Several issues with the Thessian system have been proven to show have proven this in time, where the minister is essentially culpable to only himself, totally unaccountable, and essentially avoids all due scrutiny with the periodic ending of seasons when they are actually at their height and essentially disadvantaging members. So no, the government will continue to look at this issue, but for now I can confirm that we are not seeking an elected secretariat for the RP, as we think it would be responsible at this time.
Thank you. With that being said, this will be the end of the RP discussion. Without moving forward to that, do we have anything else to discuss today? Mr. Cato?
There is one
Yes.
final government thing before
okay.
Cato says something else.
Before we proceed anywhere, Cato, in regards to what is the point of address here?
I will yield the floor to the Prime Minister to complete his government business prior to my statements.
Thank you. I'm very thankful for your politeness. Mr. Prime Minister, yeah, the floor will be yours.
Simply, the government wishes to notify this Honourable House of Commons that next week the government will bring forward legislation regarding the implementation of RP policy following the conclusion of consultation. Additionally, the government will bring forward legislation in regard to general policy updates and housekeeping in regard to laws that are enacted in Enadia previous to the secession of this new government and this new House of Commons. Essentially, we will continue our general upkeep tasks, and we will be moving forward on new policy areas the week subsequent to that one. That's my statement.
Thank you. Mr. Cato, the floor will be yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I'm sure the Prime Minister and many members of this House, although not all will be aware, I addressed the House in its previous session as to conversations that I had had with the AOR pertaining to the Augustine Android bot, which my office reviewed and found posed a potential security risk to Enadian citizens. I submitted onto the Chancellor of the Assembly of Regions and the Minister of Justice a formal request on behalf of myself, alongside the Solicitor General and alongside myself, the Justice,
the AG and the Secretary of State.
informed the AOR government of the passage of our Parliament's resolution in requesting that the bot be removed from the Assembly of Regions. That letter was sent to the Assembly of Regions chairman, and the receipt was acknowledged 8 days ago. And they have not replied to me in a manner that I feel is appropriate, as they simply said they were not aware of the bot's use, the bot being currently in use, although when I joined the Discord server only a few days prior, the bot was used to look into my nation states nation and has still been a presence in the AOR. So I would like to inform the House that I am going to speak to the Prime Minister and the Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs shortly about how to pursue this matter further, as I believe that the matter is of grave importance, and quite frankly, the AOR's failure to do anything gravely concerns me, and I would hope that the government would escalate this situation further.
Yep. Okay,
Can I
thank you.
rebuke that quickly before?
Okay. Yes, please go ahead.
I again thank the Solicitor General for his diligence on this issue. The government is concerned that the AOR have failed to respond in an appropriate manner, and we do agree that there is grounds for further action. The government, in this case, following consultation with the Solicitor General in the coming days, will bring forward another motion to the House of Commons ahead of the next session, requesting again that the AOR follow through with the request. I will speak with the technical department, and I will have meetings as such with ministers about this issue, and we will be prepared to escalate should we require to remove services in protest. I'm sure this is an issue I have raised with the technical department before, and I would quite happily invite the speaker to confirm that we will consider this a technical and governmental issue on an IC and an OOC basis.
Yes, speaking as a technical advisor of the Enadian Union and a site engineer myself, I believe that suspending our services to the AOR would be the next appropriate step to take from a technical perspective. From a government perspective, I will leave it up to the government of Enadia to actually decide the appropriate legal action. And with that being said, because I completely forgot for a second there, the Right Honourable Member Orange Main, sir, about what will be your point of address here?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My point of address is to ask the government a quick question about how the investigation is interacting with the citizenry.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So I was just going to ask Right Honourable Member Ontario, Prime Minister Ontario, do you think the government looking into the bot and investing time to address it helps the Canadian citizens feel safe in all situations, even outside the Canadian borders and in the international community? Thank you.
If I may quickly, Prime Minister, would you like me to take this as my office has conducted the inquiry?
I would like to respond to him, and then you can. I have a personal point.
Yes, for that reason, please respect the order of address. Mr. Prime Minister, go ahead.
I thank again my new honourable friend for his contribution once again. Credit for a first day in Parliament, I think we can all agree. I would say to the member that the government is taking this situation very seriously, and we are deeply concerned about the security and privacy of our citizens, as is required of us by Canadian law. A law that is, I think, that's a gold standard for security and privacy. And we will continue to ensure that that is the case. My major concern with the AOR, with the passage of new acts and security protocols, is that this bot represents the slippery slope of mass data and information collecting that I feel personally is a violation of our fundamental freedoms as guaranteed in our Constitution. With that in mind, that this government will act to ensure and to preserve and protect those freedoms when dealing with this issue. The AOR unfortunately seem unwilling at the current stage to engage constructively on the removal of the bot. However, as we have already stated, an escalation is in the works. So I will keep the member updated with that, and I thank him for raising that concern to me directly.
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Cato, you wanted to address the Right Honourable Member Orange? Or did I...
Yes,
Okay.
I did indeed.
Please
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
Mr. Speaker. I would like to also say to the honourable member, I take his point on board, and I would like to join my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister up Ontario and Hudson Bay, in thanking the honourable member for already his vast contributions to this chamber, and I think that I may have found someone who is willing to give me a run for my money in terms of contributions to this house. In regards to his point about the government, about the time being spent to investigate this matter, I was contacted by many citizens, both inside and outside of the government, expressing their concerns about this bot, and I was also given information very graciously by the Speaker last week, which informed my investigation. It was my opinion that in my capacity as Solicitor General, I had a solemn duty to the people of Enadia to thoroughly investigate the use of this bot, which many of them felt was a threat to their personal data security, and that is why such an investigation was undertaken, with the Prime Minister and the government being regularly briefed of its findings. I yield the floor.
Thank you. Alrighty. With that being said, I think that in this... okay, so I will be willing, and actually I'd like to take a moment of your time to bring to your attention that it has come to my office's attention that one of our members of Parliament, Mr. Bihua, has actually remained inactive in several, now 4 or 5 parliamentary sessions and votings at the same time. I would like to address this inactivity, as it harms the democracy and accountability.
I was going to
of the
say
House
I was
members.
just a bit confused. I yield the floor. I did yield the floor back, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, you did.
Yes, sorry, I'm not quite sure as to what happened there. Did you disconnect for a moment?
I think he got a bit puzzled there.
Ah, okay,
I
absolutely.
think we all did, because I yielded the floor and then nobody commented further. So.
Well, the speaker spoke, and then I don't think you picked that up.
Yeah, no
No, I
problem.
don't
I
think I did.
actually also clapped for what you said because I found it very, very interesting and very correct. With that being said, I'd like to also bring to your attention that soon we might have to move to another by-election to replace one of our honourable members of the Parliament.
Can I comment on that once you're finished?
Please, yes, go ahead.
Under the terms of the Recall Act, which is in force and governs this House's procedures for by-elections, the member will be required to be subject to a recall petition by a vote in this House or a direct petition triggered by the citizens to cause such a by-election. I would suggest that it would be a member of the backbenchers or the independents that would submit such a motion, as it would not be appropriate for the government to present such an act. I would encourage honourable members on the backbenches to consider this matter, and the government will vote accordingly on the day.
Thank you.
So the terms of the act are pretty clear.
Absolutely, thank you. I just want to bring it to everybody's attention. Mr. Cheshire, yes, sir, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to ask yourself and the Prime Minister as to which member they are referring to.
Sorry for that. Yes, I'm referring to the Right Honourable Member Bihua, the banana communist guy.
That was a great way of wording that.
Yes.
The banana communist guy.
Yeah, I was actually referring to his actual profile picture.
I'm sure that Orange Main will study this matter as a keen parliamentarian with great detail.
Absolutely.
Here, our own Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, any other statements, further statements before we dissolve the floor for the day?
One more, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to echo the original comment by the Honourable Member North East Cheshire to congratulate Captain Tom Moore for a happy 100th birthday and for raising £30 million for the fight against coronavirus. Additional to that, I'd like to congratulate Orange Main on his appointment and swearing into this house, and to recognise, before Cato corrects me, that Captain Moore has been promoted to Honorary Colonel of the Army Foundation College.
Thank you. Hear, hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're having indeed connection issues. All right. Well, with that being said,
Mr. Speaker, if I may.
Yes, I was about to give you the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to raise a point that has been asked to also point out from the regional magistrate and the acting High Court Justice. I, in my capacity as Solicitor General, worked alongside him just. Sorry about that. I worked. I just clicked wrong there when I was trying to access something. On Tuesday the 28th, myself, along with the magistrate and acting High Court Justice, worked together to set up the Enadian court system in a Discord server, which has since been passed on to the technical department. So I would like to formally, on behalf of both of us and also the Ministry of Justice, like to inform the Parliament and the citizens of Enadia that the regional courts are now fully operational. And again, I would like to echo my sincere and solemn hope that we do never have to use these courts, as I think a use of them is a very grave matter that should not be taken lightly.
And plot twist, we will be using them tomorrow. I'm kidding, but okay. Thank you so much for that. Any other statements before we proceed to the closure of today's session? Okay, Mr. I thought for a second that it was going to be again the right honourable member just raising his hand. I was about to say he just finished. What happened now? All right, honourable member Orange, you may go ahead, sir.
Thank you so much. I was just going to briefly ask a question to Right Honourable Prime Minister Ontario.
Yes, go ahead.
So, since we fulfilled the promise of establishing a judicial system, do you think that this shows a good record to Canadian citizens about how they can have faith in the government to fulfill its promises? And briefly about how, and could you briefly elaborate about how next the government's going to fulfill our campaign values? Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Prime Minister.
I absolutely agree with, no surprise, my honourable friend. The implementation of the Enadian court system is a proud moment for us all in Enadia. I think the government and the citizenry have a lot to be proud of. I'd also like to thank the cooperation of the technical department in that regard, and I'd like to thank all citizens who engaged positively in the process to get these courts up and running, and those who stood for election to the offices of magistrate, from which I am indeed grateful. I also note the role of the Attorney General and the Solicitor General directly in that process, and the Minister of Justice, who I am pleased to call my friend. I would say in regard to the next steps, we are constantly looking for things to make better and reform for the citizens and give them their interest, and I think that next step is a regional RP that we can truly be proud of. Once we've conquered that mountain, which I'm sure it will be a fun and engaging process for all, we are going to be looking at the periodic review of our relationship with the AOR, and then how we can improve that organization and reform it, and in ways that we can engage our citizens more directly with politics and get them involved with the government of Enadia on projects. I'd also like to thank the Autoroga for his InVision contest. I see he had a little bit of trouble with that last night, so I would encourage you all to engage constructively with them and give them a bit of support. I'd also like to draw attention and congratulate United Australian States for being a first-class and sterling representative for Enadia in the AOR. I'm enjoying engaging with you on a regular basis, and you are a credit to the region. I would like to say to all members of Parliament present today, and those are not with us, that they have done well so far to engage, and they're truly showing what a representative parliamentary democracy can deliver. And I look forward to my next meeting with His Majesty the King and the Speaker on, no doubt, another technical issue in the coming days. And to all Canadians, I think we're making progress, and let's keep at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. All right, I will be providing Mr. Cheshire with his final remark for the day, because we need to call it at night, finally. Yes,
Ruining
sir.
my closing statement.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead, Mr. Cheshire.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to, first of all, echo my right honourable friend's comment regarding Envision. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, and thank the great citizen Oregon for organising Envision. Although I'm pretty sure the entire region is aware of my frustration at
Oh,
the
yeah, we
frequent
are.
pings that resulted from
Oh,
Envision.
God.
I would just like to, on a final note, with the Prime Minister mentioning that there will soon be a periodic review of our relationship with the Assembly of Regions, I would just like to add on to the Prime Minister's remark and also ask him if he will once again join me formally in committing to providing the people of Enadia, if the Parliament deems it necessary, the right to hold a vote and make their voices heard in a referendum pertaining to our continued membership of the Assembly Regions or our withdrawal from such the organisation.
I thank Nigel Farage for his comment. I mean the honourable member. In regard to an AOR referendum in the future, as I said, this government is committed to ensuring that the AOR is an organisation that works for Enadia. And should it fail to do so and refuse to cooperate with Enadia in a constructive way, absolutely at some point our citizens should be presented with the opportunity to have a say on the matter. But this government, as of present, will not commit to a referendum at this time, as we are working in the Canadian interest every day. I understand that the AOR is moving towards some legislation that I particularly have some interest in regarding a criminal code, and the scope of that code may be an issue of contention between the AOR and member states. Additionally, the One Passport Act will be an issue for this House. So this House is the body that can give the citizens that say, but at present the government will not commit to a referendum, but will, as always, commit to a periodic review of our role within the AOR and the progress of that organisation in representing Canadians, as it is our constitutional duty to do so.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Prime Minister. That being said, this is the final remark that we're actually doing for the AOR as well. With no further remarks, I move to a vote of closure for today's session.
I beg to move.
Second.
Alrighty. With that being said, I wish you a lovely night then.
Thank you.
Thank you.